So let's get this straight. If I have no job, no house, and only function to receive attention from men, then I'm a whore. But if Ken has no job, no house, and only functions to receive attention from Barbie, it's because Barbie's oppressing him. Brittany, listen to me. Brittany, you're so close to the point, Brittany.
Welcome, brothers. It's well known that women don't like to take their share of responsibility in marriage. If it fails, all the blame ends up falling on the man. In this video, a lawyer tells us how many men are unaware of their rights in divorce. We will see a few women giving toxic advice to other women, aiming to ruin their relationships. Before we go any further, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Brothers, we now have Super Chat active, so if you want to support this project, those contributions would help us a lot. Without further ado, let's begin.
Carrying the mental load can look like this. Hey honey, the kids want to go to the pool later today, but I'll be working. So I packed the pool bag and I put sunscreen on them. But I just noticed that Poppy only has like one bathing suit that fits her and she kind of outgrew the others. So we're going to need to swing by Target and pick up another one. Hey, so I actually cleaned the whole house today and I noticed that when you got home from work, you made a snack and you left everything out in the kitchen and you sat on the couch and all the pillows are kind of knocked down and your keys and your shoes are on the floor. Do you mind just picking up after yourself so that the house stays nice for a few days? Because I worked really hard. Hey, so the kids have a birthday party on Saturday and I got a gift and you just need to wrap it. Hey, I'm gonna run to the grocery store because we're out of a couple key items. Hey, would you swing by the grocery store on the way home? Here's a list of the items that we need. Have you had a chance to check our calendar because there's a bunch of stuff coming up this week and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Brothers, here's a woman who constantly provides examples of situations that can occur in a relationship. Of course, she blames everything on the man because she is a woman who hates men, blaming everything on the patriarchy that oppresses her. Surely she's not married, because just by hearing all she says, what man could tolerate this woman? Brothers, it's well known that when a man is in a relationship, not all, but most leave some tasks to the wife. Many do this because they trust their woman to help them with some things. But if in your relationship the goal is for you to be totally independent of your wife, then why get married if you will never need her? Yes, housework is hard, and if your wife works, you should also share some of the chores. But if everything that happens in that house you're going to resolve, and still, I have to provide for you because you are my wife, and there's this disastrous saying that a woman should be given money, then you also become a mental burden for me and even worse, one that contributes nothing. This is why men end up leaving modern and Western women because she wants you to provide for her, make her comfortable, of course, without having to bother her for anything. Because you have to do your things by yourself, without generating a burden. But when she, as a woman, has a problem, you, as her man, have to solve it. More than a husband, you seem like a slave. Then when this man divorces or leaves for another woman, she says he is the bad one.
When you marry, and I don't mean spiritually marrying, having a marriage ceremony, I mean legally marrying, you're making changes to your rights and obligations under law. That's what you're doing. Like marriage, from a legal standpoint, what we mean when we say I got married, is a state agency. It's been created by the state. Like this is a legal status that most people who are in it know nothing about. They just did the most legally significant thing they're ever going to do other than dying. And they have no idea what rights and obligations it created in them. And the first time they're going to get an education about it is in my office. That's crazy.
When they get divorced.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. If you were to enter into a business deal with someone in a company, I'm very clear that you would look into all the legal laws, which ones could benefit or ruin you in that business. You would do research. But the majority of men don't do this, which is why they find themselves ruined or trapped in a bad situation when divorce comes, for never having sought advice. Brothers, don't be a fool. Remember that men marry for love, women for a lifestyle. In the United States, the highest percentage of wealthy and well-off women achieve their positions through a profitable divorce. The majority of women who own a house by the age of 50 come from a divorce, while 50% of men ruined at 50 come from a disastrous divorce. So, how can you make the biggest decision of your life by chance? Many men have heard of a prenuptial agreement, but many don't even take the time to research it. Those who do often don't ask the woman to sign it for fear of losing her, and then they see how they pay the price for their stupidity. Brothers, protect your money, because if you're counting on someone staying with you forever with a divorce rate around 75%, then you are making a very poor financial decision in your life.
Ladies, when you turn your husband down for sex, it destroys him. He doesn't think that you're just saying no to sex. He thinks you're saying no to him. We have literally heard it said that a man would rather go trim the hedges in a snow and ice storm than sleep in a bed with a woman who doesn't want him. So we may think, hey, I'm just not in the mood. What's the big deal? But for him, it is the deepest form of rejection. Now, I am not saying that that means you should just hop up and sleep with him whenever he wants. Is there a disconnect? Is there neglect? What is the reason that you are feeling like you don't want to be with him? That's important for you to discover. But the point of this is not to tell you what you have to do. The point of it is to just inform you that when you say no, the rejection cuts him deeper than I think we as women could ever imagine.
This woman is absolutely right. A woman who denies intimacy to her husband is clearly telling him that she doesn't love him. If something is lacking in your relationship, you could communicate about it. But if you are bluntly told no, then you are being rejected. I once saw a video where a man would put $1 in a piggy bank for his wife every time they were intimate in a year. He planned to buy her a gift with the money. In a whole year, he could only afford to buy her the cheapest hamburger from McDonald's. You can imagine that there was everything in that house except action. This is not just in that house, it's almost all marriages. Men say that if they had imagined their life would be like this, they wouldn't have married. You think it's always about money, but it's mostly about dead bedrooms, women who suddenly fall into depression, women who don't want anything after having children, women with hormonal problems, women who suddenly find their man repulsive, or women who are seeing someone else and giving nothing to their husband, saving it for the new boyfriend. If you don't believe me, just watch the advice of the next woman in a video.
So why don't people leave instead of having an affair? Well, it's a myth that people are so deeply unhappy with the relationship that that's why they have an affair. Usually people have affairs because they do not feel good and they're in pain and they're looking for a painkiller. And specifically, the pain is something related to they're struggling with something, right? They might have some depression, they might have some anxiety, they might have some trauma that was recently triggered. The relationship might be rocky, but not terrible, and them wanting to leave. And then there's usually a third factor that's sort of happening at the same time, which is something that's some kind of trauma or trigger that recently happened that put them in this place where they're in so much pain, they really are going out to look for this painkiller. So they don't want to leave the relationship necessarily. They're not particularly unhappy with the relationship. Many people still say they love their partners and still cheat.
In what world is cheating on me or hurting me beneficial for me in a relationship? Brothers, a woman who cheats does so because she lacks something with you. I've always believed that there are 3 types of cheating by a woman. First, there's the woman who leaves an average man for a richer man. This is the woman who cheats due to hypergamy, for money, or because the man is a loser. The second type of cheating occurs when you are a man who constantly cheats on her, and she gets tired and decides to cheat on you for revenge or to make you experience what you did to her. The third type of cheating, which to me is the most painful, is when you are a hardworking man, you put her in a good position, treat her with love, give her everything, respect her. In short, you are a man in a healthy marriage, and yet she cheats on you. You know why it hurts more? Because she doesn't leave you for a better man. She didn't cheat because you're bad. She did it because the other man makes her feel better than you do. She did it because he is the man she genuinely loves, or due to her lack of values. That's why, brothers, a man who forgives infidelity is only covering up a ticking time bomb that will explode later. It always ends up being when she gets pregnant by Chad and pins the child on the beta provider.
I entered my rich girl era the day I moved out of my ex-husband's house, which was technically my house, but he stayed there, Well, I was living in my sister's basement with all 3 of my kids in one room because he wouldn't move into his aunt's house, who had plenty of room for my kids and him to stay while we went through this process. But no, I had to move out anyways. That's water under the bridge. I stood in my convictions, walked into a therapist's office with $500 of cash. I had $1,000 to my name. And I handed it to him. I said, it's your job to help make sure I never do this again. And he was like, no, you can't give me this. You can't give me this envelope. You can pay per session. I'm like, no. That was the first time I ever fucking put the money down and was like, I'm working on myself. I was desperate, okay? I don't think you need to be desperate to find help. Rock bottom is overrated, but there we were. I entered my rich girl era that day because it was the day that I was like, no more compromise. No more putting all of myself into relationship, into things that aren't giving me a return on my investment. There are many things in your life that can take away an ROI from you. There's bitterness, anger, resentment. We've got the emotional output, right? We've got friendships that are full of drama that are taking all of this away from you. You've got your ex messaging you and you're spiraling every time he messages you and you stew on it for 24 hours instead of being able to work through that or focus on working through that so that when he messages you, it's like, yeah, transaction, right? Your life has only so much time, energy, and attention. And it's up to you to decide where you decide to invest that. It is a decision. As somebody who's been building businesses for decades, because that's what I did. At third grade, I was making Dreamcatcher earrings, going door to door to teachers and selling them, to building corporations, startups, those types of things, to building my own business. I can tell you that your time, energy, and attention are critical in living the life that you want to live. So if you're not experiencing exactly what you want, if you are like, this is not what I want for myself, you can change that. You can change it. Sometimes you just have to look at it a different way. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that in my Rich Girl Era training and 30-day challenge so I can get your little feet moving. It's going to be great. If you want to join it, you can head to my profile. I would love to see you there. Get in the car. Let's go.
She entered her rich girl phase, giving advice to women on how to ruin a man. The hatred she harbors from her past experiences is so strong that she gives legal advice to women on how to take money from their ex-husbands. This is what you call turning your trauma into your life's purpose. So, I wonder, why do you always see women saying they're tired of giving their all in the relationship, and then you hear them making videos talking badly about their ex-husband? Why do they create an entire narrative channel talking about how bad it was to be married to that man? I wonder what these men must feel if they harbor some hatred from so many videos claiming they were the devil, don't you think, brothers? Another thing, that therapists should have refunded her money because they didn't help. They scammed her. She's still crazy about her ex-husband. She should get her money back. Brothers, remember that the woman's story will always be about the bad guy. Don't be fools. Get legal advice before getting married, so they can't take everything you've worked for, like this man did with this woman. He didn't manage to take her house and assets. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Do you know someone who didn't get advice before getting married and got destroyed in a divorce? What do you think about a woman who cheats on her husband? Does she deserve a second chance? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.